Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Packaging Europe's podcast. My name is Elisabeth Skoda. I'll be your host today. Following its successful European premiere at Interpack 2023, Women in Packaging, an international networking event by Women for Women, will enter its second round at Interpack 2026 on May 11th, setting out to be an international platform for exchange, inspiration and networking. We did a podcast previously on the occasion of the first Women in Packaging, and I'm very pleased to be joined again by two women who've played a big part in the boosting and mentoring of women in packaging. We have Nerida Kelton, who's Executive Director of the Australasian Institute of Packaging, and she's also Vice President of Sustainability and Safe Food at the World Packaging Organization. She also set up the Women in Packaging event series. We also have Luciana Pellegrino, who is the first female president of the World Packaging Organization. And together we'll discuss the event at Interpack, progress in diversity and its benefits, and how women can make their mark in the industry. Yeah, welcome, Nerida and Luciana. Great to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Elisabeth. It's great to join you once again.
Thank you. And I wanted to start by asking you, Nerida. Obviously, I mentioned in my introduction that you were the one who initially conceived and set up the Women in Packaging event series. And I wanted to ask you what inspired you to do this.
So thank you very much for having us today. It's really exciting. I think if we come all the way down to Australia, we many years ago, almost about 17 years ago now, we realized that there were a lot of women coming into the industry from food science and food technology, because we tend to have a lot of male. Originally in the industry, we had a lot of male packaging designers and packaging technologists, but the women were coming through from food science and food technology, and they were intersecting with the packaging side of the industry and inevitably becoming packaging technologists. And so when I first started in the industry, we realized as the AIP that there really wasn't a community or a network for women. And we wanted to encourage those women that were coming over and progressing their careers in a different field. We wanted to make sure that they had a safe community and a network of women that they could feel safe around, and we created a mentoring program for not only the existing women in the industry, but also for that succession plan of all of those young generations that were starting to come through. And so it was really important for us to create a strong network for the women that were coming through, because we could see they were coming through quite rapidly. And then we wanted to make sure that we then had programs for them. And so we created Women in Packaging conferences and seminars and forums, and we started to run in partnership with one of the media organizations over here. We started to run a major Women in Packaging forum, and also then inevitably we created an awards program as well. And so it goes from strength to strength, but it was very much around creating a community for women that were coming into a different type of career.
Yes, that sounds great, and definitely something that's very needed. And we'll get into a bit more into what to expect at this year's event a little bit later in the podcast. But first of all, I wanted to ask, since we last spoke about this a couple of years ago, in your opinion, where does the packaging industry stand in terms of gender diversity and inclusion now? Would you say that things have moved in the right or in the wrong direction since then, or maybe even stayed the same?
It's really nice to be back to the podcast of Packaging Europe together with you and Nerida, when we attended for the first time, I think 3 years ago, something like that. And what I can say from there, Elisabeth, that in fact, this is a process, right? I mean, we are going through a cultural process in our society where women are willing to dedicate their time to a professional career at a time. And at the same time, companies are really open for women to be there and working together, building a very, how can I say, inclusive environment. So I don't think that we are really seeking for a change, but we are seeking for this progress where we can have an environment very comfortable for all persons and really balanced one. And for sure, it's a process because from a cultural perspective, the business environment was mainly occupied by men. And that comes from ancient times. I mean, men and women had a different role in society. And now that it is changing, we see the opportunity for women to do that. And nowadays, we do see women leading different roles at a company, not only at a management role, but women leading like the factory, the plant, and the entire production team, or the quality team, the sustainability team. So the opportunity is really there for women to grow in the career. And what comes with that is that we are learning how to really to understand that this is so fruitful, not only for the company, but for society itself. Because when we bring in women to the working place, what is this that we're strengthening the working force of that country, of that region? We are bringing diversity in terms of thinking, in terms of approaches as well, in terms of leading with challenges, summing with the current environment, with all the efforts that the company has already, with men, the workforce for men as well. And that is so important because the company is serving different type of publics, especially the ones targeted to serve consumers. What they look at is that they are facing a very diverse society. So they must bring in inside the company such a diverse thinking so that they get a more accurate understanding of consumers. They understand how to approach them, what is valuable for them, for the different publics, well, how to build value for them. So this process comes with, I believe, with times. It's the zeitgeist understanding that companies must be more diverse to make sure they are more, how can I say, serving society better. And for sure, strengthening their power of work, their power of decision, because they are making it more diverse as well.
If I can just add to that, that when I first started in my region, as I mentioned, it was very male dominated, particularly for the packaging engineers and technologists. And interestingly, now it's totally changed. And so we were looking at it recently, and we believe, don't quote me, but it looks like it's a 60% female, 40% male ratio, which is just incredible. And I think that's because the doors have been opened to them to expand in their careers into previous careers that were assumed to be for men only. And so it's really exciting to see the shift now.
And I think also to Nerida, it's not only the packaging industry that we see such movement. In my region, what we see nowadays is that women are leading consumer goods companies. They are leading some different areas, technical ones or different, in different perspectives. So it is really a movement from society. And as Nerida said, when we started like many years ago, the scenario was different for sure. And this progress is now happening, and a lot of ways of cultural maturity, but also women needed to be there as well.
That's great and really encouraging to hear. That's positive surprise that there's actually a 60-40 split in some places. You mentioned your many years in the industry, and I wanted to get both of your takes, what your own experience has been as women in the packaging industry, and hear a bit more about maybe the challenges you've faced and how you've overcome them.
So I'm celebrating almost 30 years of the packaging industry. And before that, I worked for an investment bank, and my leader was a woman at that time, a very strong one. And before that, to the American Chamber of Commerce. So when I started very young, but what I can say is that perhaps for a cultural perspective of Brazil, I have always found a very fruitful environment in the packaging industry. I could always find, good opportunities and have room, and people were trusting in me to grow in my career. Every big steps I took in my career I was invited by a man, I was supported by a man, but I know it's not always like that. But what I focused throughout my career is that I should build a result for the company itself. So for the people, the company, and the ones they were saving, for the profit of the company as well. And after all, it is a business. It has to grow. It has to be efficient, and for the planet as well. So since the beginning, also looking at sustainability issues. I did face some challenges, especially later on when I had my children, for example. How to balance working life and being a mom at the same time and trying to be present for them. And it's definitely there that we need a bit of support. We have our family around, but if not, also what is the infrastructure available in terms of baby care services that will be compatible to the time that you are working and you are away from home, for example. So that is really important, that to allow women to be working outside, at a company, if they have children as well, is that they have this infrastructure support. But what I can say is that also I had to the challenge to align to myself that this is what I wanted. I want to balance both the professional life and the personal life, and to do it without guilty. To understand this is what fulfills I mean, my goals, my purpose in life. This is what makes me happy. This is what makes I believe a better person, because then I'm always excited about something and learning something and coming back home and sharing that and then bringing all that energy home as well. So a challenge that we have to look at is that it is what it is, and let's not feel guilty about it. It's definitely one day at a time. Some people say it's always the 70% rule. So you are the best, 70% the best of your version in each occasion. But in fact, is that we have to understand that there always be challenges, but at the same time, they support you to on a daily basis to find the best way to overcome them, for sure.
So it's funny because Luciana and I are quite close in how long we've been in the industry. So I'm hitting 28 this year. And for me, it was a little bit different because I started in the machinery side of the industry. And so the machinery side of the industry in my region was all men, completely men. And I still remember, I was so young and so naive, and I remember going to my first trade show and I was saying to myself, where are all the women? It was just all these men. And that didn't bother me, but it was just really interesting to come from a different career before that into a very male-dominated industry. And then when I moved over into the packaging technical side, which is my association, it was a little bit harder. And it's interesting because they were in those days very dependent on the type of degrees that you had, and were very interested in what your packaging technical qualifications to be, the leader of the association. And so there was a little bit of imposter syndrome, and I still get it. I still have it now. But I was really lucky, like Luciana, because A, I'm stubborn, and B, I had really amazing male mentors, amazing, and they are still my mentors today. And they just said, get in, learn, attend everything, attend every training course, sit in every event we do, learn. Every day is a school day. And I got to a point where I was confident to be able to speak from a technical perspective. However, I'm not a qualified packaging technologist. I would never profess to be one, but I have learned the hard way by just listening and learning from everybody else. And so I do see a lot of women do have imposter syndrome when it comes to the technical side, but I think people like me and Luciana can help them and support them because we both learnt the hard way, and we're confident now to speak on technical aspects of packaging. I also know when to defer to people that are much smarter and better experts than me as well.
And there is a key change in the environment that probably Nerida and I didn't face it in the beginning, but now it's becoming more common, which is companies are bringing in more empathy to the challenges of women. So when we started back there, right, Nerida, it was just a man rules. So it's also bringing in all the cultural aspects. This is how it works, no flexibility at all, not understanding some special needs. And now, I mean, this is changing. And this is also supporting to bringing much more fruitful and joyful environment for women as well, so that they can balance different roles and responsibilities, but not, not needing to just quit their careers.
Yeah, but you're 100% right, Luciana, that I think it's important that other women can see other women in the industry, and having just, limited females around you is hard to change a perspective or show a different lens. But I'm sure that Luciana was the same as me. We got in and did it. But not all women have the confidence to be able to be in a room of complete, most of my events were just men. And it got to a point where we realized we needed to change that, because we needed more women to feel like they could fit into this room. And that's the most important thing, is that's the change that I see, is that women they're not afraid of the rooms that they walk in now.
And keep in mind, it's a learning process, right? We are here because we had this long journey, very long and very happy journey. But I mean, it's a learning process. When we were that young, when we started at first, I mean, probably we would feel also uncomfortable and afraid of speaking up and not having that confidence. But then we practiced it. I mean, we did it, even if we had fear at that time. We tried, we did it wrong, and then we learned, and we did it right. So we learned also from what we did it right. So don't put that much pressure on yourself on saying, oh my God, I cannot do this. But try to draft a map on how can I learn how to do this? Should I take an external course? Should I also have someone mentoring me, for example? And what I can suggest to women is that expose yourself. You have to challenge yourself so that you take that new step. So you learn something new. So this is something I have always done throughout my career, is that I have always exposed myself and to do something I didn't know I would be able to. I was afraid. Say, oh my God, this is a huge challenge. Some nights without sleeping for sure. Lots of extra work. It comes with lots of extra work and hours, right, Nerida? It doesn't come smoothly on your daily routine. But if you don't take that step, if you don't expose yourself, I mean, how are you learning something new? How are you trying to test some different approaches? How are you trying to test? I mean, how are you there, or what is needed to improve to get where you want to get? So, I mean, you have to be brave. That's really for sure, right? We need to be brave.
I just wanted to add one more thing to that. That's why, from WPO perspective, my personal perspective, and then also AIP and our races, so it's really important to have a community of mentors and mentees, so that if somebody needs support for whether it's work-life balance, children being sick, or anything, that they know that they have a safe community to come to. And I pride myself on creating that in the AIP. And that's probably one of the most important things for me, that every female in the industry knows that they can come through the AIP to a safe community if they have an issue or they just want to talk something through.
That's fantastic, and such great advice for women as well, really useful. And yeah, I found I'm now 20 years, maybe not exactly in the packaging, but like writing and covering the packaging industry. And yeah, I think my experiences have mirrored yours, and also seeing that transition to women being the exception. And nowadays, like they're sort of everywhere on the show floor at trade shows. That is Yeah, again, very encouraging. I wanted to dig a bit deeper on something I think you, Luciana, mentioned about Brazil, particularly that you had good support networks there. I was curious to find out if you have had any observation on how women's challenges and opportunities vary across different parts of the world, and is there maybe something different parts of the world or regions could learn from each other as well?
Yeah, definitely one can learn from another. And what we see, I mean, the cultural aspect has a huge influence for sure. So for sure, I mean, depending on where you are, where you live, you have also to take into consideration the cultural aspects and then see how to grow respecting them within. I mean, from there, how you can grow and how you can, I mean, build your career. But at the same time, we have companies that are global. So the cultural aspect, of course, must always respect where they are based. But at the same time, they are bringing and different values across the globe. So we see that in terms of packaging technology, that, for example, global brands are spreading one technology throughout the globe at once. But that comes with the working environment as well. So companies have a methodology to build such environment because they already know how important it is to have a balanced gender, have the group of employees. I mean, how important it is for the growth of the company, how important it is to get connected to that society as well. So as we said, I mean, so from there, how the company can build some, it's not only infrastructure, but some guidelines to really accommodate women. And especially what I feel that is key in this discussion is how companies should understand the real need for women to build a value proposition for them to be there and to dedicate so much time and so much energy for the company itself. And this value proposition is taking shape now, so it's attracting more and more women to have this to take over the role on professional basis and not just forgetting their personal role as well. So women when come to work, and of course men as well, but now we are talking about women. They live a lot back at home. So what is the value proposition there to make sense for them to be working for the company? How they understand they have an opportunity to grow, how they have opportunities to overcome different challenges so they can fulfill their potential. So how they have the opportunity to find this very fruitful environment. Because if they don't, they will not be there. They'll go back home and say, okay, I have something else to do. Something I always keep in my mind is that I mean I have always worked a lot, but I really find the purpose in what I'm doing. Does it make sense to me, to Luciana? I mean, is it in balance with my values? And that is key because if it's not in balance with my personal values, I would not dedicate so much passion, so much energy, so much time. So this is very important that companies throughout the world, they don't build this value proposition to attract women to be working for them and to have this more balanced environment.
I think also too, one thing that I know Luciana's also seen, we also need to remind companies that 100% the value that the women bring to their business, but also, and it's not just for the women, but also more flexible hours. And we saw that through COVID, but again, this is something that our region with our students, particularly, the young mums and the ones that have just got married and they're just having their first children and they're trying to study and they're trying to work and they're trying to raise their families. And we need to support that. And so again, even within our graduate program and our student program with all of our qualifications and degrees, we ensure that we have a flexible environment for them. And so they know that if they need to go off on maternity leave, that's okay. We know that if they need to go and have a baby, that's okay. If they want to bring that baby to an invigilation, that's okay as well. And so again, I think it is really important that companies understand that if you can provide that environment for them, then they're going to give back to your company the value that you're looking for out of them.
Yes, I'd imagine happy workers, whether it's women or men, indeed, probably also do a better job, and that's also an important facet there, isn't it? I wanted to circle back to the Women in Packaging event, Nerida, and ask you to tell us a bit more about what attendees can expect from the event this year and talk us through some of the program highlights.
It's a bigger and better program than in 2023. So 2023 was fantastic. It was standing room only. It was a very successful event, but it was also a learning of what we could do to add additional value to all the fabulous women and men that would like to come to the event this year. And so we have a keynote speaker from Tetra Pak. We have a fabulous panel of women, and Luciana is going to be joining the panel, which is really exciting. And so we have a panel discussion. But then also after that, one of the things we found in 2023 was that everybody wanted to meet all of the speakers. They wanted to meet all of the panelists. They wanted to talk to each other and network. And so we have an additional part of the event, which we have what we're calling our hubs, our topic hubs. And so we have 4 other women that are going to lead those conversations, just like the conversations we're having. So on peer communities, on how we can look at supporting women that have families, work-life balance, all of the things to do with imposter syndrome and how to have confidence to create, better, improved professional and personal development. So the whole environment of the Women in Packaging is there's 12 women all up that are going to be in this. They're all incredible, inspiring women with amazing stories, and also just a really fantastic opportunity for all of the women around the world to come together in that community, in that network. And we're really excited for it because it's such a great opportunity for particularly the younger females coming into this industry to be inspired by people that have walked the path before them, and so that they can learn and take advice. And who knows, maybe 1 or 2 of them might become someone's mentor and a mentee. And for me, I think that's an invaluable way that we can provide some milestones out of this event as well. So it's a really exciting event that we're really looking forward to everyone coming to.
Sounds great, yes. Unfortunately, I won't be at Interpack anymore myself by that time, but I'm sure somebody from the Packaging Europe team will make sure to attend. So definitely looking forward to that. Yes, as we're sort of getting towards the end of this podcast, I wanted to zoom out a bit again and ask you generally, how do you think that women in the packaging industry can best support each other?
So I think we come back to supporting to have this flexible environment. So really understanding that, perhaps the routine that women need to face needs some flexibility. So it really allows them to pursue, the imbalance, the personal and the professional life. At the same time, we need to understand that by working at a company, we have to support the company goals. So, it's not only about requiring some heavy demand and requiring some specific support, but also giving back to the company and doing our best to fulfill its goals and to make sure the company is evolving and it is developing and it's growing as well. And build and support to build this fruitful environment for diversity. So we have to make men also feel included. Why? Right? They are there. They play a very important role. So they must feel welcome. And we have to build this as a as a positive agenda, right? Not saying, no, we want to occupy any space, but we want to join forces. We want to work together. So that is the challenge that we face. Really, let's build an environment that everyone is comfortable to work together and to build together new perspectives for the companies. And by being a woman, supporting to bring such knowledge and such references and insights. What could make it a better place for women to be working, so bringing either flexibility, understanding, or offering some support. Some companies even offer a baby care service within the company, so couple mothers can be more calm when they are working over there. And even us as women, sometimes we need to be careful to not us, how can I say, arguing or challenging other women what they, I mean, about some specific needs. So we also need to think of how can I better include this person? How can I support this person to fulfill their goal, or to really to be engaged in this work and in this activity? And keeping in mind at the same time that we are at a company, a group of people, and for sure we need to have all the same rights for all the persons. So I think it's an evolving process, it's a growing process, and we are learning with it. We have more and more references on how to balance. And I'm really sure that, I mean, we are already on track. This movement has taken place already. Women are there. Probably it's a matter of time now that we see more women, because now we need time for them also to go through their career and be at more leading positions from. So for the next generations, probably will be there. Really, we will have more examples. But as I said, I mean, always building a very fruitful environment for all the workers, and that will bring a very fruitful environment for the company and the possibility to understand consumer values. At the end, it's all about people, Elisabeth. So at the company, the ones that the company is serving, it's all about people, and we have to build this connection between all of them.
I think also from what we do in our region too is we're seeing new people coming into the industry, particularly our students, and as they come out of graduation and they're coming into their first career path, that we identify the ones that we feel are going to go places, that we can see the bravery in them, or that they've got that confidence, or even if they don't have that confidence. And so one of our pillars at the AIP is to make sure that we have a program to help them grow. And so that's professional and personal development. And so we all are guilty. We identify, 2 or 3 women every single year, and we encourage them to speak on a panel, or we encourage them to present somewhere, or we get them to come and sit on a board, or we put them up to be our representative on a standards working group or something. And we start to build that confidence and that safe space that they need to be able to grow. And for me, again, that I think is what is our responsibility as more senior people in the industry now, is that it is our responsibility to hold their hand and to help them, to just like people helped us when we first started. And I think that mentoring is, and it doesn't have to be a formal program. It can just be identifying someone that you want to help grow and advance. And I see the girls now that are now leaders, that are now senior packaging technologists, that are now sustainability managers. And I'm like a proud mum, because it's just so wonderful to see them all grow. And I think that's how we support women.
And just adding to that, Nerida, and I think we have been doing that, and that's so important. Probably we were inspired. We believed at the beginning that growing our career was possible. And that's also, our commitment to inspire others, not only by ourselves, but as Nerida said, giving the opportunity for other women to become a role model to others as well. So by the time that more and more people are seeing women in leading positions, it makes it clear that it's totally possible, and that encourages others to pursue such a career. So also at Albert, we don't have a formal mentoring program, but at the same point, we try to build the reference through our work. So to tell you the truth, we have only women in our team, and that's because the characteristics, because the personality fits very well with such an institutional body, such an organization. We have had men, of course, for some times and in some different occasions. But at this point, we had only women because they really, are playing such a good role. And just recently, we had our sustainability conference here in Brazil. And we invited also women to moderate the panels. And we invited them because they are the sustainability leaders in their companies. So they are there already. And we put them in the spotlight for sure. We gave them more visibility. We invited them as moderators at the conference. And I heard from many other women during the event say, oh my God, this is so nice. I see all of those women there moderating the panel and they are already leading sustainability roles in their company. So I think that is very important because we show it's possible. We inspire others. We encourage others as well.
It's so funny because that just reminded me of something where many years ago, probably about 20 odd years ago, when we would run a conference every 2 years, Elisabeth, here. And people used to count how many women were on the program versus men. And they used to say to us, you don't have enough women, you don't have enough women. And we were saying, we actually don't have enough women in the industry that are technically qualified. It's not because we're, looking at trying to, not have women. It's just we just don't have them in the industry. And we had our conference last year and we had 90 speakers and 70 of them were women. We didn't plan that at all. We were just looking for the best person that was the most qualified, the most competent in that space on that topic. And lo and behold, they were nearly all women. And that reminded me, Luciana, we weren't intentional about that. It's the fact is that most sustainability and environmental managers these days are women. A lot more packaging technologists and engineers are women, which to me is brilliant. I think it's fantastic. It means we're finally getting that balance.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. That's great news and brilliant to hear. So yeah, that brings us to the end of our conversation today. I think it's really encouraging that things seem to be moving in the right direction and continue moving into the right direction. And hopefully this will have whetted your appetite to attend the Women in Packaging event if you're at Interpack in Düsseldorf in Germany next month. It will take place on Monday, May 11th at Interpack, and it will start at 10 a.m. And I'll put a link in the podcast description as well if you'd like to learn more. Yeah, that just leaves me to thank you, Nerida and Luciana, for being on the podcast today and for sharing your insights. And really inspiring conversation today.
See you all soon.
We'll see everybody at Interpack. Come and you may have to pre-register for the Women in Packaging, otherwise you're going to miss out on having a seat. So make sure you register early.
And I should also plug Packaging Europe there, particularly if you're at Interpack. Make sure to visit us at our stand as well. We'll be in Hall 10 at stand E03. Thanks very much. Goodbye.